right, so we have just finished cutting all of the top off of the pumpkin so that we can access what's inside. And see, let's talk about what's inside here, because what we're looking at is all the stuff that most people just throw away. But each one of these little seeds is so delicious. If handled properly, you can use these for a wonderful snack. So when you're carving your Halloween jack-o'-lanterns, don't throw away the pumpkins. I have another one sitting on my front stairs that we're going to go ahead and we're going to use as well. So what I'm going to do for today, though, is I'm going to show you how to make the seeds using this one. And again, we're going to cut open a squash and get the seeds out of this too. All right. What we're going to do is we're going to scoop. This is the ugly part. I'm going to scoop all of this out and drop it in a pan with some boiling water and salt. That's our first step in the process. So we'll be back to show you what that looks like in just a second. So here we have our pumpkin seeds all boiling away. All of our squash seeds are in there as well. And as you can tell, it's separating all of the, and I'll get my spoon and show you with my spoon. It is starting to separate all of the pulp away from the seeds themselves. That way the seeds will be nice and clean. So once we know this is boiled for a while, then we're going to be able to just strain the seeds out. Look how nice and clean those are already coming. All right, so we're going to let this go for just a little while longer. And the only other thing I wanted to tell you about this is that I added about 5 tablespoons of sea salt into this water. So that's quite salty, isn't it? But since it's in the water, it's going to infuse that salt into the actual seed itself, rather than it just sitting on the top of the pumpkin seed, which is how my mother used to do it, right? So we do things just a little bit differently today, and I wanted to make sure that you all knew how to do this as well. We'll be back when we're ready to season and pop these into the oven to crisp them up. Hello, love of food. We're back, and I want to show you what pumpkin seeds look like as they were after they were boiled, and how easily that membrane from the meat from the pumpkin separates. Look at it. Just by boiling it, we took out all of the stickiness, all of the sugar, and all of the things that hold this together. So it just pops off really easy, and you can see a lot of it even disappeared from what I originally put in the pot. So like we can just pull out a few of those pieces and not even have to worry about them. I probably could run through this with a paper towel, and this would probably just stick to a paper towel, but I'm not going to be that fussy. But look how easy of a job it was. Now the other thing I wanted to show you is, and I don't know if you can really see it in this picture, is by boiling them, they turned out almost like a grayish color. Do you notice that? They've got like a grayish tinge to them. And so once we bake them, that gray color will go away, and then we're going to be able to just have that nice, beautiful pumpkin seeds the way that we're used to seeing them. Now, what am I going to do to bake these? So one of the things that I've done is I've lined a baking sheet with some parchment paper, because if I recall, these will stick and make a mess of the pan. So why not use the parchment paper? Makes sense. But what about flavoring? Well, they're all going to get a spattering of olive oil. And then what I thought would be fun is if we tried 2 different flavors and see if there's any difference to the 2 different flavors. I happen to like chipotle and cumin together. I think that they make a wonderful pair. I'm going to use more chipotle than cumin, but that's okay, because we don't want it to be too much cumin isn't good. The other one that I'm going to try is with a pre-made rub that normally we would put on barbecue, and it's called bandito dust. And what it has in it is some chili pepper, some brown sugar, some honey powder, some pepper spices, onion powder. So we're going to try this on some as well and see if we like one better than the other, because guess what? That's what we do with food. We have fun. And of course, we're going to be putting salt. We put salt on these pumpkin seeds when we boiled them, but we're going to be adding a little bit to the top of the flavoring as well, so that you have that bite on the tip of your tongue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these pumpkin seeds. I am going to put them into some type of a plastic bag. I'm going to put my spices and my olive oil and just rub them all up, and you'll see me do that. I'm going to use 2 smaller bags than this since we're going to do 2 flavors. And then we're going to spread them out on our pan, and we're going to bake them at 400 degrees for 10 to 15 minutes until we reach the desired color and crispiness. So I'll be back in just a few minutes. So what I did was I added a drizzle of olive oil into my bag, and then I put in some of the bandito dust, right? And we are just going to move the seeds around so that we're coating them, and then we're going to pour them out onto the baking sheet and sprinkle just a little bit more on the top. So how much bandito dust did I use? I used about a teaspoon, maybe a teaspoon and a half, not a whole lot. So we are going to put some more on the top. I'm just going to take my hand and flatten these all out. Move them around so that they're not crowding each other. And we're doing this each in a separate pan because remember, we're doing 2 different flavors. We don't want to mix up our flavors. And the idea here is to let the pumpkin seeds just kind of get crisped up, and we don't want to crowd the pan. Kind of like when you're making bacon, you want to make sure that each piece has a little bit of an area around it to cook properly and brown properly. If not, then we're just boiling, and we've already boiled these, right? We want to bake them up now. And so I'm just patting them down to spread them out. Now, do they have to be perfect? Absolutely not. These are seeds, right? They're just supposed to be fun. So after I have them spread out enough that I feel that they have room, then I will go ahead and sprinkle some more of the bandito dust on the top of them. I'm thinking that looks about right. Right? It's a few clumped together, but I'm not going to worry about every single one of them. And let me just dry my hands. And now let's go ahead and sprinkle a little bit more of this bandito dust over the top of them. Just a sprinkle. And remember, I said we were going to do a little salt too. So we're going to add in just a smidgen of salt because this bandito dust may already have a little salt in it. We don't want to make them too salty. All right. I'm putting it on there until I see that maybe each one of the seeds has some coloring on it, and some have more than others. Don't worry about that. Again, it's supposed to be fun. And then we're going to add in our Himalayan sea salt. If you don't like a lot of salt, don't use it. It's not a do or die situation. I just happen to like them salty. So there you have it. We're going to roast these, again, at 400 degrees for 10 to 15 minutes. We're going to check them at 10 and see how they look. We'll be back to show you the final product.